There's nothing like live hockey. Experience Minnesota Wild action at Grand Casino Arena all season long, including two Wild versus Canucks on April 2nd and Wild versus Kraken on April 7th. Secure your seats now at wild.com/tickets and join the excitement.
Watch my heroes in the TV highlights. Breathless moments, young desires.
Couple 13-14 past the hour. Hour number 2 begins as always with a little 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Willow River Company. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Yeah, the Twins offense mustered only 4 hits. They only had 1 at bat with a runner on second base in a 3-1 loss at Kansas City yesterday. Kyle Isbell for the Royals hit a 2-run homer off of Simeon Woods Richardson in the 2nd inning, and Isaac Collins hit a solo shot off of Cody Funderburk in the 7th. Matt Wallner's solo shot was the only run the Twins could score. Common, what sticks out to you from yesterday's Twins loss?
Just another one. We're 1-3 or 1-4 now?
1-3.
1-3. They play tonight.
What are we on pace for now?
Boy, you're better at math than I am. Are they?
It's around 40 wins. It'll be a decimal.
Do they play tonight, or do they have a day off again? Because, early in the year, they oftentimes will have a day between games in a 3-game series because in case of a snow out.
They're tomorrow.
Or tomorrow night. First night game of the year. Joe Ryan will be back on the hill. They had yesterday just the lack of hitting when you needed it. I mean, they only had, if I read this correctly, they only had 1 runner in scoring position the entire game, I think. They only got a guy to second base 1 time. Can't hit, can't pitch, can't hit, can't play defense. What's wrong with them, Mark? So they've got all those sorts of issues. I believe that they're just not. They're just not a very good team. And could that change as time goes on? I suppose. They had these in the story about Ryan pitching tomorrow. They capped or didn't cap it, but they end of the story. They had the look ahead in the gamer, and they talked about the game with Joe Ryan, and apparently Ryan has been brilliant against the Royals, particularly at Kauffman Stadium. But like I always say, well, that doesn't mean he's going to be tomorrow. I mean, just because he has in the past doesn't guarantee we'll have if he doesn't have his best stuff or a couple of hitters get hot. I saw where in that story, I didn't realize this, they moved in the fences a little bit in Kansas City.
I saw that, yeah.
On the foul poles, because that notoriously has been one of the hardest ballparks to hit home runs in. But it just seems like it's going to be a long summer for the Twins. I'm not, look, I'd love if they were. It's a nice distraction in the middle of summer if the team is playing well and they're in the hunt for either a division title or a wild card. Yeah, okay, let's pay attention. But I just don't see it happening at all. I don't know about you.
Have you seen the forecast for the home opener this weekend? Friday, you're going to get a high of 41 with a 65% chance of rain. Saturday, they play at 110. We could get snow that day.
Yeah.
High of 35.
I tried to tell them. They wouldn't listen.
That's going to be the worst attended home opener in Target Field history.
I told them when they first were discussing building a new stadium, I said, you got to put a retractable roof on it. And I was...
The Rosens of the world laughed at you.
Well, not just that. I think a lot of the listeners did, too. A lot of fans. Oh, we don't want that. We want a real stadium. Okay. It's not even so much for the beginning of the year. Like, heaven forbid we ever get into a World Series again in November. You know how the weather can be here in November. Who wants to watch them? And I've said this before. It's not even so much. I worry about the fans being cold. Baseball played in 32-degree weather is not the way it was supposed to be played. It just wasn't. When you get the game's not going to be the same. it's cool. That's why the boys of summer and then the fall classic. When you played in early October, there's a chill in the air, but you have your, we used to call them Indian summers. I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore if it's Native American summers, but you would get nice weather in October. And so you're right. I mean, I don't think you'll get many people going if it's snowing. And I don't know, do they have a day worked in here for the Twins on this weekend too? Do they have
no, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they're back here against Detroit on Monday.
Good luck with that.
That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Wow.
So yeah, there's no days off in between once the Twins start at home here.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get many people.
Good luck.
I mean, especially not just the weather, but with the team.
Well, the team, yes. It's a combination.
Yeah, it's a combo platter.
Question number 2.
All Vikings, let's win this game. You'll hear us yell for more.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the state of the Skull.
Interim GM Rob Brzezinski announced yesterday that the team will pick up the fifth-year option on wide receiver Jordan Addison. It is projected to cost the team $18 million in the 2027 season. Last season, Addison caught just 42 passes for 610 yards and 3 tutties. He missed 3 games due to a suspension. He was also benched by Kevin O'Connell for the first quarter of their game against the Cleveland Browns in London. Common, do you support the picking up of Jordan Addison's fifth-year option?
Yeah, well, I don't know. They're kind of stuck. I mean, the kid does have talent. He's showing he can play in the league. I don't think there's any question about that. But, he's had the off-field issues. How much money do they have to pay him?
They'll have to pay him, it's estimated, $18 million in 2027, which actually for wide receivers.
Yeah.
For what he's produced, I mean, Jalen Naylor's making, did he get like 13 a year in Vegas?
Did he get that much? Well, maybe he did.
I thought it was in the 8. Jalen Naylor's getting a 3-year, $35 million deal. So if you look at 18 for 1 year for Jordan Addison, that's after this year. That's still a pretty reasonable deal given he's giving you a lot more production than Jalen Naylor.
Yeah.
The going rate for NFL wide receivers, like very mediocre wide receivers are getting that amount of money. So it's
the price of doing business. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's got talent. He's a little inconsistent, and then, having to serve a suspension and not showing up for the reason he got suspended for that when O'Connell suspended him wasn't it because he didn't show up at a practice in like a
walkthrough or something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't think they had much of a choice. They don't have many.
Well, it's
other
just a 1 year commitment too.
Yeah, and that's true too. And they don't have any other options right now, right? You have Jefferson and Addison, and I don't know what else they have. There's not much.
That's it, basically. Yeah. Ty Felton.
Yeah.
Question number 3.
We could potentially see an all Big Ten final in men's basketball. A Big Ten team won the college football playoff, and the number 1 team in college baseball right now is from the Big Ten. My question for you, Common, has the Big Ten surpassed the SEC as the best conference in college sports?
Well, when you have 18 teams, it ain't the Big 10, it's the Big 18. Why don't we add another 6 more clubs and we'll have the best conference in the history of sports? I think that has something to do with it, doesn't it?
Oh, it has a lot to do with it. Oh, sure. It sounds like nil has helped the Big Ten a lot, too.
Absolutely. Well, and
they have the best TV deal.
Well, it's Illinois and Michigan. They're original Big Tens, right? Who's the top team in baseball?
I didn't see who that was. I couldn't find it out.
What was the other one? The national champion, Indiana. And so I guess we probably are, at least for the time being. I mean, that.
Oh, UCLA is number 1. So obviously,
okay.
Former Pac-10, now Big Ten.
That's really a Pac-10 team. I guess. I guess just those numbers you just gave would lead you to believe. Now, in basketball, it wasn't just they have there were 2 teams that just happened to get to. Michigan State got to the Elite 8, I think, right? Nebraska.
They had 6 in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, they had 6. So basketball-wise, they certainly seem to be there. In football, Ohio State and Indiana. And then even Oregon. Of course, Oregon's not an original, but I would
And
say
obviously UCLA women's basketball team is the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
I would say go Big 18.
Question number 3. It's time now for multiple choice.
Which headline at NFL.com intrigues you the most? A, Super Bowl champion Seahawks start in Hard Knocks training camp. B, Cards had discussions about keeping Kyler, believe Jacoby fits in system. C, McVay says Rams weighing Cousins as backup, considered trading Adams. Or D, NFL announces Las Vegas will be the host city for Super Bowl 63 in 2029.
What was the number one? Is this your question, or which one you want me to?
Which headline, intrigues you the most?
What was the first one?
Super Bowl champion Seahawks to start in Hard Knocks training camp.
I've never watched Hard Knocks, and it doesn't interest me, so that would not. The Cousins thing, I guess, though, I don't know. I don't know if any. What was number 2? I think it was B for me. What was B again?
B was Cards had discussions about keeping Kyler, or is it Kyle?
It's Kyle Murphy.
Believe Jacoby fits in system. Is that Jacoby or Jacob?
I think it's Jacob Brissett. Well, I'm sure they had discussion. Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm sure they talked about it. I wonder if we should keep him or not. No, let's not. So they probably talked about it. So it's kind of a slow headline day, but I would say, yeah, that would be the one. Did they just thought Jacoby was a better fit
for their system?
Okay.
Which he did play out right last year, though they didn't really win with him as their quarterback, but their offense was okay once he took over for the chunk of the season last year.
Maybe what they ought to do is change their system. That's what I would do. I don't think it's... Because I just think Murphy has, to me, a higher ceiling, I think, than Brissett. So I would... If Brissett's a better fit for your system, why don't you change your system? You know, we've discussed that as well. We've got Murphy coming here. He's a different style of quarterback, stylistically different than what O'Connell has generally worked with. So are we going to change Kyle Murphy, or is O'Connell going to have to adapt a little bit? I think it's easier for a coach to adapt his system than it is for a player to completely change. I mean, I think you can do a little of both, but I think a coach has got to say, we have to play. Let's play to the strength.
These coaches are too married to their systems.
That's what I think, too. You have to do let's play to the strength of what our player brings to our table. If he's an RPO guy, if he's better coming working under center, if he's better in the shotgun, the pistol, whatever it is, that I would try to tweak. Not that the player can't learn a few things and adapt, maybe become better at parts of the game he hasn't excelled in, but I still think it's more on the coach than the player.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
You know what else somebody brought up? Michigan and Wisconsin are in the Frozen Four.
That's right, for hockey.
So the Big 18 is the dominant conference in college sports. We'll break, come back with more. Common Man program with 10 to be here on The Fan.
KFAN celebrates our $5,000 teacher winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher. It's powered by Donors Shoes. There's still time to nominate a public school teacher making a difference. They could be next to win $5,000 to make over their classroom. Do it now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
Couple 13-14 past. The legendary one, Mark Rosen, will join us for the 2 o'clock hour, as he always does on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. This story caught my eye. This is actually an update of the original story. Headline: DraftKings says it has used March Madness, other terms, for 5 years in response to the NCAA complaint. Associated Press writes, DraftKings has been using March Madness and other familiar terms to refer to the NCAA tournament for more than 5 years and has the legal right to do so. So the sportsbook said in a court filing Wednesday in response to a complaint filed by the NCAA last week. So that would have been last Wednesday. NCAA is seeking an emergency temporary restraining order to stop DraftKings from using registered trademarks associated with its men's and women's basketball tournaments. The complaint for trademark infringement filed in the Southern District of Indiana requests that DraftKings stop using March Madness, Final Four, Elite Eight, and Sweet 16 and variations of those terms to promote its business. In its response, DraftKings described those terms as the universally recognized names for the tournaments and their rounds used by millions of college basketball fans, journalists, and participants in the sports betting ecosystem. They are the same words used by other online sports books who have not been singled out by the NCAA's fevered complaint. DraftKings said the NCAA had asked for the restraining order based on contrived and manufactured emergency, and it noted that the NCAA has a commercial agreement with a company whose business is providing in-game data to sports books. The NCAA said it actively avoids any appearance of affiliation with gambling and said in the complaint that DraftKings' use of the terms confuses customers by making it appear that the NCAA is on board. DraftKings said it uses the terms and said its use of the terms is protected under the First Amendment, arguing the NCAA's trademark claim would fail on merits. The company said in a statement, no trademark gives any organization the right to monopolize the language fans, players, journalists, and sports books use every day to accurately refer to college basketball tournaments. And I guess that's why you hire attorneys and it will have its day in court. Because I know there are people that have asked me on occasion, why do you always refer to the Super Bowl as the big game? It's because the Super Bowl is a trademark name. If you've ever noticed, like, let's say this happens the week leading up to the big game every year, where, like, let's say Quick Trip is telling you to stock up for the big game with soda pop on special right now. Get a 12-pack of Diet Coke for just blah, blah, blah. Get Tostito and Dorito chips for just blah, blah, blah. That's why they say big game. You cannot say Super Bowl or you are using a trademark name. And so for me... Unless it's an NFL affiliated sponsor. Correct.
Like we can't same thing for, like, we can't say Minnesota Vikings in an ad.
That's correct.
We have to say the purple.
Yeah.
Unless it's a Viking sponsor.
That is absolutely positively correct. So DraftKings is now what the NCAA is saying there, and you kind of chuckled at it, that, well, because you're DraftKings and you're trying to get people, it's a betting site, right? That you're trying to get people to bet
daily
on.
Fantasy.
Daily fantasy.
Sure.
You're trying to get people.
Well, it might be partially betting now.
And you're trying to get people to invest money on it. And the NCAA said, well, you're acting like we're in cahoots with you, which I guess you couldn't interpret it that way. But I don't think they're saying in conjunction with the NCAA. I can understand why the NCAA is trying to protect what they have trademarked. But they're right, all sports writers, we talk about it here. We say March Madness all the time. Hey, it's March Madness. Are we not supposed to say March Madness? We say, Final Four is set for this weekend. Am I not? Are we just supposed to say the last four teams in the NCAA tournament are taking on? Do we just call, I guess you could call it Silly 16, as we do with Preposterous Statement Tournament. But I don't.
Could we do it in Spanish?
Well, I would think you probably.
The final cuatro. I don't know what final is in Spanish.
Yeah, I don't either.
El cuatro final.
Finale. Let's go finale. I don't know. I don't know who would win this. Do you remember? Wasn't it? Who was the coach that three-peat?
Phil Jackson?
Was that Jackson or was it the other guy before Jackson? Who was the longtime Lakers coach before Phil Jackson?
Well, I thought Phil came up with it with the Bulls, but...
Oh, did he?
Was it a Pat Riley thing?
I think it was Pat Riley. I don't think it's Phil Jackson. I think it's Pat Riley. And I think it was about 8-10 years ago.
Yeah, it was Pat Riley.
Yeah.
The 88, 89 Lakers.
So again, that is he's trademarked that or patented it. If I don't know if those are one and the same, but apparently you can't. And I think you can. I mean, obviously, I don't. What DraftKings is trying to say is they say DraftKings have those terms as universally recognized names for the tournaments and the rounds used by millions of college basketball fans, journalists, and participants in the sports betting ecosystem. They are the same words used by other online sports books who have not been singled out by the NCAA's fevered complaint. That's like if now you have to really use your imagination here. Let's say one of our local teams, the Wild, the Wolves, the Twins, or the Vikings, were going for a third world championship in a row. Are we forbidden from saying three-peat? I don't think that would hold up in court. I mean, if
I think it's the distinction of we can say it in the course of the segment in the show, but it's part of like an endorsement with a company for an advertisement. I don't know if we could.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Or like we couldn't sell T-shirts that say three-peat on it.
Correct. I think that's exactly right. We're not going to have to worry about that here, I don't think. I'd like to just win one. It would be nice just to get uno, other than unos, dos, tres. But I think that's the case. Someone says el último cuatro is the final four in Spanish.
So can I say that in an ad?
I know.
Get ready for El Ultimo Cuatro by going to Quick Trip.
I'm not a judge or an attorney, but I would say no. That's still, it doesn't matter what language it in. It still is what it is. But maybe you could. I don't know. That's a good question. This one says people have always thought the NCAA trademarks and copyrights on those phrases have been kind of flimsy, but since they're such a big organization, no one's really had the lawyers to fight them on it. But now they've run up against DraftKings, which is also a huge organization, and they do have the lawyers to fight it out. So that should be quite the battle in the future to see how that shakes out. And it will be interesting because that's why I've done the bit where, and I really don't care, but I just like to pretend I'm outraged that, oh, you want me to call it the Super Bowl when we're promoting your event on the air? But if I want to sell some Diet Coke and chips for a convenience store, you're saying, how dare you call it the Super Bowl? But then I can understand their point of view. I'm using something they've trademarked to sell something. I'm profiting off something they've put a trademark on, right? So
you'd be making more money off of them than they'd be making off of them, and they're them.
That's exactly right, or something to that extent. So I can understand, but it would be... This one says, is the legendary one trademarked? Not sure what else you could call Rosie. There you go. Maybe
Fraudfather is trademarked.
Fraudfather is trademarked. So there you go. But it is controversial. Let's pause, come back. We'll tap dance through the next segment, and then we'll welcome the legendary one into the program here on The Fan. Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. He is 10B. I forgot to mention, by the way, after 534, that 534 was brought to you by the Willow River Company and the Willow River Experience. That's a monthly subscription where you can build a custom outdoor maintenance package, and then Willow River will handle all the work. You do 5 of this, 4 of that, 3 of that. When you bundle, you can say your services, you can save, because the more services you bundle, the more discounts you can get, and manage them all through their customer portal. Visit willowriverexperience.com. That's willowriverexperience.com. I saw the story a couple hours ago came out, CBSSports.com. entitled NBA Tank Watch. Adam Silver complicates matters while Jazz pull off a season-defining loss. It says last week, Adam Silver insisted that we're going to fix it full stop, talking about tanking, and promised that beginning next season, the incentives regarding tanking will be completely different than they are now. As part of that pledge, the league submitted 3 proposals during last week's Board of Governors meeting. Adopting any of the following changes will require 23 of 30 teams to vote in favor. Here's number 1, Teneby. Expanding to an 18-team lottery by including the play-in losers in both conferences. Flat odds of 8% for the teams with the 10 worst records. Every pick would be selected in the lottery instead of only the top 4. Make sense? Expanding to an 18-team lottery by including the play-in losers in both conferences. Flat odds of 8% for the teams with the 10 worst records. So instead of having it where, the worse your record is, the better your odds are. More ping pong balls. Number 2 would be expanding to a 22-team lottery by including play-in losers in both conferences and teams that lose in the first round of the playoffs. Lottery order would be determined by the organization's overall record over a 2-year period. In this model, adopted from the format currently used in the WNBA, a minimum win total would be established. For example, if the win total floor is 25 and a team wins 20, it is credited with 25 victories. In this format, only the top 4 picks would be selected in the lottery. I'm not even sure how that would work, but I'll leave that to
Sounds complicated.
Yeah, it sounds complicated to me, and maybe it's not.
As a Wild fan, I wish over the last 15 years they would have included first-round losers in the lottery.
Let me give you a little bit of a, give you a little bit of a shot there. Number 3, what the league is calling a 5x5 system. 5 times 5.
Okay.
The lottery would be expanded to 18 teams by including the play-in losers in both conferences. The 5 teams with the worst records would have equal odds at the top pick, with the lottery determining the first 5 picks. The 5 worst teams would pick no lower than 10th. Teams that fall out of the top 5 would be entered into a second lottery to determine the remaining 13 picks.
Multiple lotteries.
Story goes on to say, of course, there was a simpler solution, which was also floated along with the 3 aforementioned options. Under the new rules, if a team is deemed to be tanking by the commissioner, Silver would have the power to move that franchise's pick to the end of the lottery or the first round, take it away entirely, and or fine that organization millions of dollars. It's according to The Athletic. That's what they say that other proposal would be. If that's the case, why are there other proposals even necessary? Couldn't Silver in the league office just eyeball the tanking teams and mete out whatever justice they deem necessary? Well, it goes on to say that it's playing with a lot of power for the commissioner to wield, and it would likely result in backlash from teams suggested of that kind of arbitrary discipline. My guess is the commish probably wouldn't want to be the tanking punishment czar and would instead prefer to adopt a new anti-tanking measures as the primary line of defense. I think that is too much power to give the commissioner. I don't think you can just say, it kind of looks like you're tanking to me. I mean, we all can kind of see it, but then to determine which team is trying to tank more than the other team, which team is tanked more than the other tanking team. This text messenger writes, it should be all first-round losers go into the small lottery, and they all have an equal shot at the first overall pick, meaning that everyone should want to get into the first round of the playoffs no matter what. No, that's not. Now, I don't know if what I've just read there, if any of those are similar to what he's saying. What he is saying is that if you're in the first round of the playoffs and you lose, you have an equal shot at the first overall pick. Meaning, let's say the Wolves get in, and let's say they lose in the first round. Well, they're still in an opportunity. I guess they're trying to get those 7, 8, the teams that are finishing. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, though, does it? Because if if you are let's say you're a bad team to begin with, you're not very good. I mean, there are teams that are going to finish last regardless if they're trying or not, right? And so if you're a bad team and you can't make the playoffs, and no matter how hard you try, I still think you've got to have a better opportunity to get a better draft pick, don't you? I mean, I guess the only real way to do it, to make it equal, even if you win the NBA championship, if they draw your name out, you get the first pick overall, which would seem counterproductive. You already have a really good team, and now you're going to get the best player. But that's the only way you can prevent, I think, completely prevent tanking, right?
I mean, I kind of like the idea of all your teams that miss the postseason, and then the teams that lose in the play-in game, right? So how many ever teams that would be?
Right.
It would be 14 for now, and then I guess 16 if they expand. Of those teams, all having an equal chance at the number one pick. Now you're still gonna have teams that at the end of the year they know they're out of it and they're not going to be giving it their all, but they wouldn't necessarily be tanking.
Yeah, I think that might be the best way. I mean, it's sad that we have to discuss it.
Yep.
But as we've talked about,
But you have to.
As we've talked about, we brought up what Mark Cuban said not long ago, a former owner of the Dallas Mavericks, where he said he actually doesn't think there's anything wrong with tanking, in particularly because here's the sticky wicket, I think. We talk about load management all the time, right? You know, and how certain players are allowed, especially like, let's say Tennessee, let's say the Thunder are coming to town to play somewhere, right? And the Thunder might use that away game to give SGA a break and 2 or 3 other starters, right? That they just say, you know, they're going to be off that game. We're giving them load management. And then you go, well, that's not fair to the ticket buyers of whatever city that, let's say it's Memphis, because Memphis might want to watch. That's why they wanted to see SGA. They want to see Holmgren. They want to see the best players in the world play, and they can't. And so we're all against that, right? What Cuban was saying, though, is the discerning fan realizes that we're not very good. We're missing we don't have a franchise type player. We don't have a Wembanyama. We don't have a, do we call him Doncic or Doncic today? Which do you want to call him? We don't have him. We don't have an Anthony Edwards. We don't have somebody who is a franchise player. So if you're a fan of the team and you want to see I guess you don't mind tanking, right? Don't you sort of support it? You go, we need to get let's say, I don't know which player in college basketball is considered the top overall pick. I know the Boozer kid who had for Duke is considered a high end player. There are a number of kids that are considered pretty good players. Now, are they franchise players? I don't know. Let's even go back to the Cooper Flagg kid, right, from last year. He's considered a franchise changing player.
The last ESPN mock draft from about 20 days ago, Darren Peterson from Kansas.
Okay.
Was expected to be number 1.
Okay. I don't know if he's considered a franchise player or just the best player available.
Cameron Boozer's like 3.
Okay. But let's go back to Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg is considered by everybody to be a franchise type, and he's, so far the way he's played, he has been.
Not last night,
but overall he's been considered a can't miss kind of a player. If you're in a city with a terrible team, terrible fans, terrible stadium, everything about just terrible, and you know that kid's going to be available, do you really care about winning an extra half a dozen games, meaningless games, because your team's just not any good, tanking or not, they're just not very good? If that's going to decrease your chances of getting a franchise player, I got to admit I'm all for tanking at that point. Are you not? Or do you say, nope, that's still not in the spirit of the game?
And even then, it's not a guarantee.
And it's not a guarantee, right? Or do you say, no, in the spirit of the game, you're always trying to win no matter what. You're a tryhard. You're a sweaty. No matter what, no matter where your team is. It goes back to when Musselman was coaching the Wolves. He was trying to win games. There was a couple of times, or at least one year for sure, where they won, I don't know, 6-7 games at the end of the year that prevented them from getting the top pick overall or more I don't know if they were doing the lottery then. But my point is, so we don't want players to tank or to load manage, which I've been a fan of being anti-load management. But let's say you're a fan of Oklahoma City Thunder and you think, you know what? We're getting ready for the playoffs here. It's been a long season. Oklahoma City really has nothing to play. Now, are they still clear enough of San Antonio, or San Antonio still on their heels? Regardless.
Last time I saw, they were like 2-3 games back.
Okay, so then I guess there was still reason to win games. But if you
2.5 back,
then again, maybe this makes it a mute point. But you see what I'm getting at, right? You can be. I'm not a big fan of load management because I think you are cheating fans of seeing the best players. You know, if all of a sudden you're putting your B team out there, your JV team, why do I want to go to that game? Why do I want to spend any time investing in that ball game? That's a waste of time and money. I want to see. I talked about how I went just in the waning in Kobe Bryant's last season. He didn't play. Took the kids to the game to go watch Kobe Bryant. Didn't play. Nursing a knee injury or something. He could have come out and played a couple of minutes, but they're not going to do that. So I'm anti-load management, but I got to admit, Tenneby,
for my own team, I'm all for tanking.
Exactly.
If I'm Adam Silver, I'm not for.
Right.
I think the problem is we used to have like a team or two tank, and now it seems like there's a handful that are tanking. It's becoming more prevalent.
This one says, I think the lottery kind of prevents teams from tanking to get number one overall player because even then, it's cut up for grabs. Well, yeah, that's why they established the lottery in the first place. That was the original fix for tanking teams.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's those that, okay, Dallas makes the trade for Doncic to the Lakers. Everybody is going, why would they do that? The general manager ended up getting fired for it, right? He was nominated for a preposterous statement for his explanation. Well, then Dallas, magically, their name gets pulled out in the lottery. And they had like a 1.2% chance of being the number one pick overall. There are those that say, whoa, wait a minute. In an effort, I mean, Dallas fans are still angry to this day.
Sure.
And rightfully so. So in order to try to placate them, there are those that would suggest, well, that lottery was rigged so that Dallas could get the number one pick and get Cooper Flagg. So at least, now Cooper Flagg hasn't accomplished what Doncic has yet and may never accomplish that. But at least you're saying, hey, we're going to give you this. We're going to give Dallas fans this. We're going to give you the number one overall pick so that you don't boycott the team and be bitter. You know, it's bad PR for the team or for the league, right? And so I don't, you know, there are those. I mean, you go back even further. Was it Orlando that had the number one pick back-to-back years and got Shaq and Penny?
Penny.
And there were those that said, now, wait a minute, how does that happen? There are those that still suspect.
They had low odds on both of them, didn't they?
Yes, I think they did. So on the Cooper Flagg, with Dallas getting the number one pick when they had very low odds, in Orlando, Tenneby, you've solved a couple of, yesterday you solved the case of the missing microwave. Maybe you could take a deep dive on the Anthony Hardaway, Shaq, Diesel O'Neal, and the Cooper Flagg thing. Maybe you could get to the bottom of that. You were able to do it with the microwave yesterday. You were able to do it with the case of the disappearing Pro V1s. You got to the bottom of two different cases. You're 2-0.
How about the year LeBron, number one overall, just his hometown team?
Yes, there's another
Cleveland.
one. How did that end? Cleveland was a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans and a terrible stadium. And Did they eventually win one with LeBron? They did, right?
The second time around.
The second time around, yeah. Because he left there, went to Miami, and then came. He was going to take his talents to Miami on the big announcement they had on ESPN or wherever it was. This one says, if you're pulling 3 starters, you have to discount tickets accordingly. You could make that argument.
Sure.
And again, as much as for instance, now, how about this? Now, again, it's slightly different, but last year, the Packers, week 18, against the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings, rested a bunch of their starters. Everybody looks the other way on that. They just say, well, yeah, you got to get ready for the playoffs. You have to make sure your guys are healthy. We have nothing to gain from this, so why would we play our players? And everybody just goes, well, that's just the way it works. Nobody's up in arms about that. Yet, if they decide to give Victor Wembanyama the night off or somebody for a load management, people are going, how dare you do that? Now, it's different, but it's not. You're trying to protect the guy, keep him healthy, load manage him. There are those that say, and we know Jordan played all 82 games and played every series of the NBA Finals, never took a night off. I get that. But then that's Michael Jordan. That's not everybody. So if you're making the argument that, for instance, Tennessee, we talked about this with the Wild. Are you okay with, if, let's say Hughes is tuckered. Let's say Quintesota's tuckered.
Yeah.
Let's say Kaprizov's tuckered. Let's say let's say Boldy. All these guys are tuckered. Because our playoff positioning can't change, are you okay with giving those guys some rest here before we start what we hope will be a 4 playoff series run to a Stanley Cup?
For Quinn Hughes, I definitely would.
Okay.
I'd give him a game. Well, now that they got 4 days off right now, so
Right.
I'd like hopefully when they go play Vancouver Thursday night, they're a little bit more rested. But if he's still showing some ill effects, yeah, I'd give him a day or 2 off.
But what if they were going to play in Ottawa and people want to watch Quinn Hughes in Ottawa? I want to see Quinn Hughes play
I got
hockey.
to worry about the postseason.
Well, sure, shouldn't that be blanket for everybody? For load management, for every sport, for tanking, for everything. I want my team to tank if we're a terrible team and I got a chance to get the next Victor Wembanyama. I want them to tank. That's why Cuban said, embrace the tanking. It's controversial. I know nobody else would dare tackle this topic. Here's another one. Chicago Bulls had a 1.7% chance and landed the first pick for hometown kid Derrick Rose, part of the Fab Five.
Yes.
Derrick Rose. Here's another. 1985, the frozen envelope, first year of the lottery that sent Patrick Ewing to the Knicks. Remember? They said the envelope was frozen, so when he would pick it up, he would know which one to select. That was another controversy. Then there's this. Talk about tanking. There's no show prep. And then there's this. Well, yeah, I really don't care about any of this. I was desperate for a segment. So during the last break, I was scanning through CBS Sports and I saw the tanking story.
Clearly, this show is pro tanking. We do it every day.
We do it every single day. So, this one says, I know you're a stickler for being accurate. The Atlanta Magic drafted Shaq in 92, Chris Webber in 93, but traded Webber for Penny Hardaway, who was the 3rd pick. Okay, is that true?
I'm sure it is.
And you know what? I didn't know that was in 92 or 93. I thought that was 8 or 10 years ago. See, that's how bad I am because is it time blindness? Is that what we've decided I have? I have time blindness along with African sleeping sickness and a flesh-eating bacteria and an elevated scrotum. So I have all those things going against me right now. So those are issues that I'm going to have to deal with and come to grips with, and not anybody else. Well, and then there's this. There's a way to solve the tanking problem. Relegation. The bottom 4 teams in the NBA get relegated to college conferences. 4 teams. Well, they do that in soccer.
Yes.
In Europe, right? That if you're a terrible team, you get bounced down to like AAA.
Oh, we won't have a baseball team right now, then.
I'll give you this and a...
no one would care if they got relegated. Might actually make them spend some money to try to get back up anyway.
There you go. We're going to be a good team, and we're going to get it all figured out. So there you go. to tank or not to tank.
I mean, I don't know if there's relegation. I wish there was a way to like in a fantasy football league, right? You have teams that advance in the playoffs, and then you have like a toilet bowl. Where the worst teams play each other, and there's some sort of punishment. If there's a way to like punish teams for being really, really bad, have some sort of toilet bowl tournament at the end.
Well, they call it the NIT right now in college basketball.
Well, we can't even make that.
Yeah, I guess we're not even capable of making that. A lot of people have a lot of solutions for tanking. I don't know if any of them will work. We'll take a break. We'll come back. The legendary one, Mark Rosen, joins us next. Common Man program on the Fan.